Health and Fitness with David Hollywood.
Hello and welcome to this week's programme. Let's have a look and see what's coming up on the show. Very shortly, we'll be looking forward to the League of Ireland season, but we'll be doing it through the prism of Athlone Town's senior women's team athletic and rehab therapist. That's David Harrington. February is Esophageal Cancer Month and Lollipop Day is at the end of this month. Carmel Doyle is the CEO of the Esophageal Cancer Fund, and she joins us to help raise awareness to promote the message of early detection and prevention. We find out the exciting news about the Banagher outdoor swimming pool upgrade project with Johnny Butler from the Shannon Bank Park Development Group, and Suzanne Ennis from the Turn to Me mental health charity joins us to talk about their collaboration with the Family Resource Centre in Athlone to bring support to both parents and caregivers. The League of Ireland season kicks off this week. In fact, if you're tuned in live on air this evening, it's kicking off in about 40 minutes' time. The Athlone Town men's senior team are travelling out to Oriel Park to take on a Dundalk team that's managed by Ciarán Kilduff, who is the former women's team manager in Athlone. David Harrington is still the athletic and rehab therapist for the Athlone Town women's team, and he joins us on Health and Fitness this evening. David, at this point in the season, you're getting tantalisingly close to getting underway, and I imagine with the lads kicking off this evening and all of the talk in the build-up and the likes of Shamrock Rovers doing so well in the men's game as well, the women's side of the club, that buzz must be ramping up every single day now.
Hi Dave, how are you? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's there's a big excitement for the season ahead. Obviously pre-season is a tough slog for the players. But everything has been really positive so far. There's a couple of new players after coming in, so they're getting to get into shape now. But the girls they've come back in great shape. There's been a real big kind of intensity into the training. The coaching staff have set really high standards, and everyone is just pushing themselves to be ready for that first game of the season.
That first game of the season is a 7:30 kickoff. It's taking place in Lissywallen against Wexford. It is the 8th of March, so one for the diary there. David, Colin Fortune's taken over from Ciarán Kilduff. You mentioned the slog of work that players go through in pre-season. Just give us a rundown of an idea of the kind of workload that they have to get through so that they can compete at that Women's Premier Division level when the season gets underway.
Yes, yeah, it's I suppose there's a lot of areas that are boxes that need to be ticked. They have to get their fitness levels up between your short, sharp bursts, your long distance runs, the strength end of things. So we've a lot of strength and conditioning guys there. We've performance analysis stuff. So there's a lot of numbers being looked at to make sure that there's not, I suppose, too much overload and then underload as well. You want to get them to the right kind of numbers. But we try and cover all aspects of, I suppose, the strength and conditioning end of stuff for the girls to make sure that, they are ready for the start of the season once it kicks off, that their fitness levels are there. But as a lot of people say, you can't beat match fitness. So I suppose that's where your challenge games comes in and have come in throughout the pre-season there, where girls have got minutes. You see some of them blowing, you see others that are flying. So you'll see, they have to get up to the pace of things, which can take a couple of games to get going, which is why I suppose they throw in these pre-season matches, which is great. But yeah, overall, we try and tick as many boxes as we can in that space, and I think we've ticked a good chunk of them so far.
You mentioned there, it's not just like back in the day it would be laps of the field and that type of thing. It's specific running training. And I imagine if players have rested over the course of the off-season, which is probably a good shout considering how long and challenging the seasons are, like I went and I ran a 400-metre indoor race at the Offaly Indoor Athletics Championships recently, and I hadn't sprinted in months upon months upon months, usually just jogging around the place. And my muscles were as tight as it was pure pain for a couple of days afterwards. I imagine as an athletic and rehab therapist with the club, you're looking out for the kind of reactions that players are going to have to that workload. I imagine from a muscle perspective, they're particularly vulnerable early on in pre-season.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's my main, I suppose, job is, seeing how girls respond to the workload, making sure that, they're managing it okay. You'll always have little bits of, I feel tight here and I feel tight there and this, that and the other. But like that, as you said there, you done a bit of high intensity running there, and the muscles, that kind of DOM effect, which is what it would be called, that muscle soreness, that can be as a result of that, especially if you haven't done it or been exposed to it in a while. You get that, and I suppose it's important to just get your recovery in from that aspect, which is another big part of my job, and making sure that the girls are recovering well. So your nutrition, your sleep, there's a big push on kind of ice bath work now and all this kind of stuff, and active recovery, like going on a bike and just flushing out legs and getting some stretching work done. So all that stuff is, again, boxes that we try and tick with them as much as we can. But yeah, once you get ramping up the loads and the speeds and the sharpness and intensity, I guess you're putting more forces on muscles and joints and tendons, and they have to respond to that. So that's why your preseason work is very important, in that, you want to get them, lifting a little bit of resistance work, getting all those areas strong, building up a little bit of an armor or a body armor around these kind of joints and tendons, to make sure that they can reach the demands, because it's a very high demanding sport. Once the girls get going, the matches are very, very intense. The speed of the game is increasing year on year. But so far so good.
Just since we have you on Health and Fitness this evening, I might ask you for one or two pointers for those listening in who either are going to play five-a-side this weekend, they've got a match with their own club, or indeed they might be doing running or something like that. We're all familiar with the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, this tightness in our legs, could be groin, hamstring, quads, whatever it is, after a hard session of any description. One or two things you pointed to there that we could all do then is, if you're very tight the next day, you say get on a bike or do a light run, can flush the legs and loosen them up a bit, and obviously to stretch as well the day after. Does that make a big difference going forward if people are struggling with muscle tightness and soreness?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, a lot of that stuff is proven to work. Particularly the likes of your bike, and even a light jog. But sometimes it could be, let's say someone has an Achilles there that's a little bit flared up. You may not want to be running on something like that. So your off-feet conditioning, like a bike, a rower, kind of, there's skiers there now as well, where you can get a little bit of work done on those. So yeah, any of that stuff is really good. That would definitely be one thing I'd be doing for anyone that does have a bit of astro work. But yeah, like, you'd get a lot of people that would go into, say, and play five-a-side or six-a-side with the lads there, and they might just go out and start kicking away. Like, they might just start, there mightn't be much of a warm-up for, you might only have the Astro for an hour, so you're kind of just getting going, and then it's into the car and drive home. I've been guilty of that myself a few times, and you can kind of pay for it that evening or the next morning. But look, at any of those kind of things, maybe getting a little bit of stretching work done beforehand, particularly afterwards, is important. And I see probably more so in a lot of, like, people that do a lot of running in particular, like your road runners that might actually play the sport, they probably don't get enough of maybe your strength work done, which is just a little bit of resistance training on the legs, because they have to be able to handle the loads that you're putting them through once you start running. So, and then once you ramp up the speeds, there's more load put on those areas. So it's important that you get kind of, I suppose, two sides of the coin. You're getting your mobility and stretching work done with a little bit of active recovery, and then you're also maybe on a separate day getting a little bit of gentle strength work done, just a couple of reps of whatever exercise, targeting different areas of the body.
Okay, great stuff. Hopefully a few people might have picked up something handy there for the future. Let's look towards the immediate future, back in league action, and of course lots to look forward to this season. Before we do that, let's touch on last season. As historically successful, he's won the Women's Premier Division title. It's something Athlone have been threatening to do for a couple of seasons, and got to another FAI Cup final. Just really unfortunate that the season ended with that heavy defeat to Shelburne. Do you think the players who were involved in that specific day in Tala have managed to shake it off ahead of this season?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we had a great year last year. The girls were absolutely immense for the whole season. It was unbelievable to be a part of. obviously, yeah, the final was a big upset. I don't think it's something we seen coming. It was Shelbourne were really good on the day. Everything they hit the back of the net, So, but no, this season it's a new season. It's they took the time off. We reflect on everything, and we just get ready to go again. It's just take it game by game now. Forget everything from last year. That's last year now. They've won what they won last year, and they lost out on what they lost out on. But it's a new start. They're all ready to rock for the new season, and hopefully they'll give it a good push again this year and go as far again, if not a little bit further, even with the Champions League football, which everyone's excited about. Players, staff, people from Athlone. Anytime I'm walking through town, everyone's kind of raving and ranting about it, and they can't wait to see how it fares out. So there's a big excitement and a buzz to get things going again.
That was going to be my final question, actually, is the fact that European football's on the horizon. Now, I hadn't actually double-checked this, but do you guys know where you're going initially for the European football when it kicks back in, or you're waiting to find out what the story is there?
No, I think it's waiting to find out at the moment, as far as I know, Dave.
Yeah.
As far as I know, yeah.
Any desired destinations? Where would you like to go?
Anywhere with a bit of sun.
Well, look, I think last year that was very much the case, so you'd be hopeful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, the best of luck with the combining of chasing the sun and European success, but more importantly, obviously, as the season gets underway on the 8th of March, the best of luck against Wexford, and of course in keeping all these players on their toes and in good shape for the start of the season. David Harrington, much appreciate you joining us on Health and Fitness.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks for having me.
The Esophageal Cancer Fund has been working for years to increase survival rates. Their CEO joins us to talk about Lollipop Day next.
Health and Fitness with David Hollywoods on Midlands 183.
Welcome back. February is Esophageal Cancer Month and Lollipop Day is at the end of this month. Our reporter Jack Irwin sat down with their CEO Carmel Doyle to talk about what's in store for the rest of the month and of course the big day. Carmel has her own survivor story and she shared that with Jack first.
Well, I'd never heard of esophageal cancer, but my husband had ongoing heartburn, and I really noticed this when I was pregnant on my third child, Rose, back in 2005, 2006. And like many pregnant women, I was suffering from heartburn for the first time and taking my tablespoonful of Gaviscon and whatever else I had to take. But he was taking the bottle by the neck, and Jerry had ongoing heartburn throughout that pregnancy. So it got to a point, Jack, where I just said, come on, this is normal. You need to get this checked out. I thought he might have an ulcer. And he did get it checked out, and it turns out he had a thing called Barrett's esophagus, which can be a precursor to this cancer. But basically all the heartburn and the reflux had damaged his esophagus, and there were some cell changes there, some damage. So he was being monitored, thank God. And in one of those annual scopes, they discovered, and I'll never forget the words, a sinister polyp on his esophagus. And from there, on the tip of that, there was cancer. So his cancer was found very, very early, and he had his surgery to remove his esophagus in April 2011. And nearly 14 years later, thank God, he is living to tell the tale. And I'm glad that my nagging to get him to the doctor helped to get him monitored and to do something about it. So the esophagus, for your listeners, is that food pipe, that gullet between your throat and your stomach. So what Jerry had to get done was a major operation. He had to get his esophagus removed and his stomach pulled up. Which meant that he had to eat differently from then on, because he has a smaller stomach capacity and he has to sleep upright with lots of pillows. But that's a small inconvenience when you can put this cancer behind you. He lives a full life and is a taekwondo instructor and accountant by day. And I'm very privileged to be the CEO of the Esophageal Cancer Fund, because this charity really helped myself and Jerry on our family journey.
Yeah, Carmel, like you were saying there, he caught it early, which was the most vital thing on it. And just as well, how prevalent is it in Ireland? Sort of what are the symptoms early doors that listeners should be looking out for?
It's around 500 people are diagnosed with esophageal cancer every year in Ireland. So we do have a high rate in terms of European diagnosis. Esophageal cancer is the sixth leading cause of mortality worldwide, unfortunately, with a 25% survival rate beyond 5 years. But that survival rate can be really increased with early detection. It can be doubled or trebled. With regard to the second question, which for me is the most important question, Jack, and thank you so much for allowing me to remind listeners, if people have difficulty swallowing food, if they have ongoing acid reflux, if they have ongoing chronic heartburn, and people, by the way, use those terms, it's just that feeling, that indigestion feeling that something's not quite right. But if it's ongoing and they're treating it too often themselves, if they have a persistent cough, unexplained weight loss, any of those things or pain, it's time to go to the doctor and get it checked out instead of just saying, look, to be grand. And that's what our survey was saying. Too many men in particular are not making the connection between ongoing chronic heartburn and their risk of actually of getting esophageal cancer. So know the symptoms, get them checked out. Chances are you'll be absolutely fine. But at least if you go to the doctor, if there's any damage done to the esophagus there, you can have a scope done and you're in the system then to get monitored, which is the safest place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Just sort of just highlights the importance of just getting checked up, even if you think it's something small. And I know, Carmel, you're eager to spread the awareness about the cancer. Do you feel like more needs to be done in that regard in this country?
Yeah, I mean, it dismays me. We knew there was a low awareness, Jack, of this, but the research done by Amorc in January says that 1 in 3 men have never heard of esophageal cancer and 64% have not made the connection between ongoing chronic reflux and heartburn. So we've a lot of work to do. But with the likes of Midlands and all the local radio programs getting behind us and the local media and the communities, we hope to spread the word. We just want people to know the symptoms and to be aware that there is a thing called esophageal cancer and that people need to mind their gut health. They need to mind the health of their esophagus, that little tube, that gullet that connects your throat to your stomach. If there are things going on there, you need to get it checked out. So, it's Esophageal Cancer Awareness Month, as you said at the top of the programme, and we want more people to know what this cancer is and what the symptoms are, and to know that there is life after esophageal cancer. There are 2,000 people in Ireland living with and beyond esophageal cancer, and we know them through our patient support programme. And just be proactive about it. That's our main message, be proactive.
And Carmel, that I suppose leads us on to the fundraiser activity that happens at the end of the month. Talk to us a little about the Lollipop Day fundraiser that's taking place.
Yeah, Lollipop Day, some people may have heard of it, and we chose the lollipop because the lollipop and swallow, the whole thing about difficulty swallowing, and the lollipop symbolises that swallow. We have Lollipop Day on the 28th of February and the 1st of March, happening across the Midlands, across the country, and a big shout out to all our volunteers and everybody who's involved. We have lots of schools and clubs and small businesses involved, where people on those 2 days will see people with the symptom cards, with the lollipops, and we're asking for a donation of €3 per lolly. And that little lolly goes a long way in funding our awareness campaign, in funding the research we do, and in funding our patient support programme. And people can find out more. It's not too late to register to get in touch with us and to donate. And they just need to check out lollipopday.ie or check out our own website, OCF, for Esophageal Cancer Fund.ie. And a big shout out to our local fundraising and communications manager, Anthony Doran, is actually based in Mullingar and absolutely up to his oxters in lollipops and pushing this campaign. So local really matters with esophageal cancer, and our communities look after each other. So I just want listeners to just, watch out for our Lollipop Day supporters right across the Midlands, and please, if you can, make a donation, because every lollipop, every symptom card and every mention on radio is going to make a difference in saving lives and getting people to get checked out early.
Obviously, a lot of people involved in this campaign. Can you give us maybe a few names?
Sure. The biggest one is a lovely man called David Harrington, who listeners will know as the pro golfer, and he is our patron for Lollipop Day. Padraig is a big supporter of ours because his dad, Paddy, unfortunately died of esophageal cancer back in July 2005, nearly 20 years ago. And as Padraig says, this cancer is something his family knows too well. He wants people to know the symptoms just as we do. And he's done lots of videos and ads for us and lent his voice, his strong voice to this campaign with the same message that, talk to your GP, and catching this cancer early can make all the difference. So a big thank you to Padraig Harrington for being our patron for Lollipop Day. We really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Carmel. And if you just want to again repeat the website there again, just for the listeners, if they're listening obviously live, and how they can donate.
lollipopday.ie and OCS, F for fund.ie. All the information is there, all the information on survival, on the symptoms, on our story, and a big shout out to everybody involved. These things take a lot of work, and we just want to say thank you so much to everybody involved, and thanks to the people across the Midlands who've been great supporters of ours over the years. A little lolly goes a long way, and we really appreciate your help.
That's no problem at all, Carmel. Thanks for joining us today. Best of luck with the fundraiser, and all the best with spreading awareness.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Carmel Doyle and Jack Irwin there. Up next, we're going swimming in Banagher.
Health and Fitness with David Hollywoods on Midlands 103.
Next on Health and Fitness, we're turning our attention to an important social amenity in the Midlands. It is the Banagher Outdoor Swimming Pool, and they've secured funding for a major upgrade. We know that this is a really important amenity for a lot of people locally and more broadly in the region. Johnny Butler is from the Shannonbank Park Development Group, and he's here to tell us about what's coming down the lines in terms of the future for the Banagher Outdoor Swimming Pool, and what needs to be done to get it over the line, as it were. Johnny, thanks very much for joining us on the programme.
Oh, sure, I'm delighted to be here, and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to talk about this exciting project.
Well, it is an exciting project. You've secured major funding to update it. So why don't you talk us through the details, because you're across it?
Well, I suppose, like, a small little bit of history. Like the land where the park is at the moment was owned by Shannon Navigation, and in 1956 they basically gave it over to what was the parish council, and from that the group of trustees have responsibility for it now. Like, so, and over the last 50 years, 60 years, 70 years at this stage, it's been developed into the facility that we have there at the moment, and an awful lot of hard work. Like the pool will hopefully arrive there now during the summer, and it's very exciting. But this project is 30 or 40 years in development, really. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah,
I can imagine, with all that time and desire built into something like this, to actually have something tangible happening now is exciting. The majority of the funding is coming from the Just Transition Fund, and then everyone involved with Banagher Outdoor Swimming Pool is going to be making major efforts to, I suppose, through fundraising, get the rest of the money together.
Yeah, I suppose, look, like about 4 years, I talked about like the pool that's there at the moment. It needed to be upgraded. We started trying to figure out how we go about it, and I suppose over the last couple of years, then we've got planning permission, and luckily enough, then we secured a fairly serious grant, mainly thanks to Brendan O'Loughlin and his guys. We got about 80% of the funding, but it leaves us about a 20% shortfall. Like, you know, I suppose one thing I should have probably mentioned beforehand, and it's really, really important as well, that the pool, the existing structure that's there at the moment, a lot of people would know about, actually spawned an industry. Like, and it was the first kind of floating structure in the country. It's the first enclosed kind of, and probably in Europe, and it's the first enclosed swimming area on the river that we know about. Now, maybe somebody can correct me, but that's our understanding. But from that, Inland Coastal have been operating for the last number of years, and I think there's about 60 to 80 people working there, and they send these pontoons that spawned from that pool all over the world. And I think there's up to Melbourne, and I was talking to someone the other day there, and there's some stuff from Mexico. So there's a big backstory to all this. And it's a really exciting project, and it's all good news, which is great in this day and age.
To have it upgraded and closer to a state-of-the-art facility, then considering the industry that's grown around it, that growth you'd expect probably to kick on even further and become an even more important feature in the Midlands.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be a lot more attractive than the one that's there at the moment. It'll be a bigger, wider platforms, and people can actually walk out and there'll be seating on it and that, And it's all about people meeting and going, swimming and have another place to meet, And I suppose since COVID, the swimming has become more and more popular. And obviously I'm swimming there for the last 50 years. But there's a swimming club there now, and I think there's about 100 members, mainly women. And they're all out socialising as well, and I often meet them out when they're out in the town as well, having a bit of fun too. And some of them were saying that this facility made them new friends, and hopefully with a whole new facility and a whole new, a more attractive facility and better facilities for the town, for the swimming people swimming, more and more people will be using it and get involved in our great natural resource, which is the Shannon. I suppose in Banagher we feel a bit of responsibility for it, because it's one of the few places in Offaly that touches the river, and we wanted to make it the best it can possibly be. So it's a really exciting time, yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like Banagher is taking every opportunity to take advantage of what is an amazing resource with the river.
Yeah.
From the development group's perspective, Johnny, I know, having spoken to groups like yourselves, that people's satisfaction, their happiness, their comfort in the community, that gives you guys such great reward for the time that you spend and put into stuff like the development group. So to hear those women say that, they've made friends at this place, it must be so motivating to keep on driving on everything.
Oh, absolutely. It's fantastic. And especially when you meet them out, they're all having fun and having fun, cracking. Then you meet them down having a coffee down at the river as well. And they're all saying it's great for their own mental health, because a lot of people don't get out as much as they used to, and I suppose that the whole world has changed since COVID. So this is just another way to meet up, So it is fantastic,
Our mental health and our physical health, certainly a lot to be said for a facility like this. Give us a flavour of the fundraising that's in store then to get up to the target.
Yeah, well, I suppose we've got 180,000 to raise, which is quite an amount of money. But
yeah, it's a fair bit.
It's a fair bit, yeah. But people have been really generous. People are really getting behind this and buying into this whole project, and it's fantastic. And I've been volunteering for years, and a lot of things you do that you don't get any praise for, not that you want it, but small things that enhance the town. This is a major thing, and people have really bought into it. We had a launch night in Banagher last Sunday week. We had Frank House was full. There was actually people out on the street trying to get in to listen to what we had to say, because it was a good news story. So it's all happening. So the type of things we're doing is we're trying to make it not just sell raffle tickets or the normal things, but we're trying to get everyone involved, and all the various groups in town got involved. So our biggest thing is that we're going to do is Carrauntoohil Challenge. So we're going to take 100 people from the locality. So if anyone is interested in coming along with us to climb Carrauntoohil on Saturday, I think the 10th of May, and hopefully we'll get a few found out of that. Then we have our swim challenge. We'd have to have a swim challenge, and that's on the 28th of June, and people are going to swim from Shannon Harbour down to Banagher. But I suppose with that one, we're trying to get people that haven't done much swimming before to become involved with the club and to take on a challenge like that. And the same was true with Carrauntoohil. Everyone said they'd love to walk Carrauntoohil, but never got an opportunity. This is a great opportunity, and this is kind of more building our community as well. But I want to emphasise, anyone in Tullamore to Port Leash or wherever that's listening, they're all very welcome. So want to come along, get in touch, and we'll bring you along. Because we have a responsibility for the river, as I keep saying. But it's for everyone. The facility is going to be free. There's going to be no charges. You can go down there whenever you want. It's just, yeah, it's good. We're also going to do an auction night. The auction night then will be hopefully around Easter Sunday, and we're getting a lot of stuff to auction from various groups, from sport memorabilia, the world of entertainment. They're sending along some stuff as well, and people who have an affiliation to Banagher have started sending stuff. So hopefully that'll be a good, fun night. We're doing a tractor run. The national school and secondary schools, they're going to do their own little fundraiser for us, and hopefully a little one, a fundraiser for us. There's a pony club or a horseman. They're doing a kind of a trek around. What else have we got? And then we're talking about we're doing something with Hawks as well, and Corrigan's and 2 bars, a few bars in town. So look, it's everyone's getting behind it. It's fantastic. But the important thing is that this facility is for everyone. It's not just for us. Anybody can drive to Banagher you enter swimming pools and go for a swim, use it. There's a coffee shop there now. There's a hot tub there as well. Like, things have been spawning from the pool over the last couple of years. And we believe it's only going to get better because there isn't too many parks like this on the river. We're so lucky to have
That's what I was going to say, Johnny. It's pretty unique in this country, let alone in the region.
Oh yeah, it is. Like, that kind of a park beside the river is fairly rare. Like, and then to have a swimming facility, and it's a safe facility as well. Like, so people can go in there, they can swim in the river, but they're still in an enclosed area. Like, the platforms or the walkways or the pontoons as they are going to be so wide. There's going to be seats out there, so people can go out and keep an eye on the kids or whatever, but they're still like, and hopefully that will bring more people out, meet more, and get more active, and that's what it's all about. And if we can get the pool in and people start using it more, job done. I'm very happy.
Well, look, we wish you the very best with it all. I have to ask you before I let you go, what kind of swimmer are you, Johnny? Are you a handy swimmer? Will you be able to take on this the River Shannon Challenge?
I'm going to do the Carrantoogle one, and I'm going to think about that. And I'm more into cycling, but I do a certain amount of swimming, but I wouldn't be the strongest swimmer. But I probably will be talked into it at some stage. I'll be shamed into it, and I'll be delighted. Like, I just have to. I have a few other things on this year as well, and I'm going to be cycling around the circumference of the country as well for the pool. So there's a lot going on.
Well, I say let the shaming commence.
Yeah, I won't be able to get out of it, but anyway, yeah. Okay,
honestly, the very best luck. You've been listening to Johnny Butler from the Shannon Bank Park Development Group. This brand new facility will be opening up, and in the summer, Banagher Outdoor Swimming Pool upgrade. It's received a huge Just Transition Fund grant, and there's a huge amount of fundraising that needs to take place in the run-up to its opening. So be it the auction night, the River Shannon Challenge, the Carrantoogle Challenge, farmers and crafts markets, local fundraisers as well across Banagher. Get involved and help support the delivery of a wonderful project. Johnny, thanks for your time.
And listen, thanks very much for giving me the time to speak on the radio. It's been great. And if any of information, just go on to banagher.ie/put the pool, and you'll get all the information there. And hopefully people will come and use it. And we'd love to see the more people use it. It's ours. It's the communities. But it's for everyone. Like, I mean, it's yeah.
Top man, Johnny.
Thank you.
When we return, we'll be talking about a new place for people to meet and talk about parenting challenges.
Health and Fitness with David Hollywoods on Midlands 103.
Now, the national mental health charity Turn to Me is launching a new free monthly online support group for parents and caregivers. They're doing it in tandem with the Family Resource Centre. Of course, many people in Athlone will know that the branch is there. They have national presence across the country. This is a national resource as well. The first session is actually already in the books. That took place on the 12th of February this week. I'm very glad to say that Suzanne Ennis, Clinical Manager with Turn to Me, joins us on Health and Fitness this evening. Suzanne, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Tell us, this online support group for parents, talk us through what it's offering and how the first one went, as far as you know.
So I'm the facilitator of this group. So what we're offering is parents and caregivers of children a safe and confidential space to look at, talk about failures, challenges, fears, regrets, everything that's about parenting. And it's in a safe, confidential, but also anonymous platform. So it's via instant chat. Nobody knows it's you. So it's very much non-judgmental. So you can kind of go and explore things that you're reluctant to do so with your family or your friends for fear of judgment. We know parenting is, it's wonderful. It's very rewarding, but it can also be a real struggle. It can be really lonely. It can be overwhelming. It can be mentally and emotionally exhausting. And there's no handbook, right, wrong, really. So, and every child is different. Every child's needs are different. So we want to really, I suppose, we're teaming up with the Family Resource Centre there in Ballymote to really we've identified, I suppose, a gap in support for parents and caregivers of young kids and teenagers. So we really wanted to just fill that gap, and the way we're doing it is via Turn to Me through our online platform. And I'm the facilitator of the group. I'm a mother myself, blended family, and all the challenges that go with that. So first-hand experience as well. So it's a place for parents and caregivers, as I say, to come and just talk about anything and everything that you're going through day to day. And it's really to arm the parents with the tools and the reassurance that they are not alone. These struggles are real for so many people, despite what society is suggesting should be the way, or Instagram people are posting, oh, my happy life and my perfectly behaved kids. It's not reflective of real life, and most people's real life, it's a struggle to get out the door in the mornings, to get anywhere, to do anything. The house is a bomb, trying to keep on top of it. So it's about kind of people coming together and just being very real and open and authentic with the struggles, and support each other through that with tips, tricks, and just a place to offload what's going on.
Suzanne, what you've said makes so much sense there. I'd be the same as yourself, a parent in a blended family, and as I've gone along that journey, I've learned that my peers or people in my social circle, those who have had children and those who haven't, the perspective is totally different, because it's like a life-altering role that you assume as a parent, and therefore a peer-to-peer support from other parents is really important. And I think the crucial thing with this is the anonymity strips away this intrinsic built-in drive we all have to protect our reputations as parents. You know, it means so much to us to be a good father or mother, that if something didn't go to plan, it's the last thing we want getting out there. But that obviously sometimes creates obstacles in seeking support. I imagine, that must really, these online support groups, it must give parents a unique opportunity to say, look, this has happened. And when other people confirm and say it's also happened.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be like this, because the reality is, no matter how much you plan, or, plan your family, and, ideally things go to plan, you get pregnant, you have your baby, like, nobody prepares you for that. Like, you are setting off a bomb in your life. Your life is no longer recognizable, pre-child to after child. And that's the reality. You can't really prepare for it. Sure, you can think you can. You get the nursery, ideally have your childcare or whatever the case in place, schools and whatnot. But you don't know the child you're getting. You don't know those child's needs. And you don't know yourself as a parent until you're amongst it, until you're in those trenches, for want of a better description. And as I say, parenting is brilliant. It is so rewarding. Those precious moments, like my son told me this morning, Mummy, you're my Valentine. Heartbreaking, lovely, great, But then there's moments where, they're having temper tantrums. What's the line between emotionally supporting them, but holding a very important boundary with the child? We all know kids need boundaries. They need routine for safety, for that connectivity. So, and it's always a constant moving, you have to have flexibility with these things. So it's a minefield. It's a maze for parents. So what we're trying to do with this group is have a space where parents can just really explore it in a safe environment, where they're not going to feel judged, and where they're not alone, because every parent is trying to navigate this.
When you speak to parents who maybe haven't engaged in mental health support services before, and they bring in this baggage of suppressing what was really going on internally, externally, whatever it is, do you often see sort of like this process of peeling back those hesitations and a relief at the end of it, when they realise that acknowledging what's going on in their life, there's no bad thing in that, and having difficulties as a parent doesn't make you a bad person, and not for a second?
Absolutely not. I mean, your resilience is restored when you realise, there is a problem here, and you're seeking the support and the tools to overcome it. I mean, that is, the definition of resilience. That is the definition of good parenting. We lead by example. We don't know everything. We're constantly growing. We're constantly learning. And parenting is a very humbling journey in that realisation of, I don't know everything. I can't control everything. You're trying to raise little people to become adults that are functioning to the best of their ability, both emotionally, cognitively, and you want them to have happy and fulfilled lives. But you need to lead by example. So it's important parents don't lose sight of themselves in the parenting journey. So I'm a mother, but I'm also still me. So it's about that balancing act. And we really want parents to try and, ensure that they get those moments. It's like, for example, if you're on a plane, the air hostess goes through it. In the event of emergency, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first, and then your child. So it's a little bit along those ethos, that kind of ethos. you're no good, burnt out. So you need to make sure you're filling your tank and charging your own internal battery. And then you're much more present and able to emotionally support your child or your partner or your husband or your wife or whoever, And a lot of parents, it can be the case of, oh, well, I don't want to do it the same way as my parents did it, or I want to be as good a parent as my parents, or, there's
both
so much
sometimes.
Internal dialogue going on, and then you could have, the scary mother-in-law or father-in-law, or, there's so many variables that people feel pressure from and not necessarily support, or they feel judgment from. So this is a place where we want to just abolish that and reassure people that judgment is not within this group. It is really is a safe space to come and just explore, whatever it is you're struggling with your child. I can't get them to eat food. They won't eat food for me. Or, I can't get them out of sleep pants, or I can't get them in the doors into school or creche without them screaming, crying, or whatever it is. These are very real everyday challenges, and every parent goes through it. So let's support each other, as opposed to point at each other and go, God, why can't you control her child? Or why can't he control her child? Or what's wrong with that child? Society sometimes is so harsh, it's so judgmental. And especially for those kids who are neurodivergent and they need that bit of extra time or extra space to acclimatise. And I think society is changing to allow those kids to acclimatise and the parents with them. But we need more of that. So this is a space for those people to come and explore and to share resources as well,
Yeah, but that's... I think you're so right in terms of doing our very best not to judge people, because we don't fully, truly, it's impossible understand what's going on.
You never know what's going on.
No.
Exactly.
No, exactly.
And it's important to remember we've all had bad days.
Yeah, more than I care to remember. Let's just mention as well, this is open to all parents, the support group, but it's also open to caregivers. And caregivers, they have parallel experiences when it comes to the roles that they live in their life. There's the expectation, the pressure, the sense sometimes that they don't have control, and this support group and resource could be really helpful for people who are in those caregiving roles.
Yeah. So in a lot of families, say, grandparents would assist with childcare if both parents are working, things like that. So this group is available to those people who are minding children or grandchildren or aunts or uncles, or, takes a village. So we want to include the village. You don't have to be the biological parent to, you could be like that blended family. So you could be the stepdad or stepmom or whatever the case may be. And this is a space for them as well, because, you are facing the real challenges. And I think sometimes with a blended family, it can even be a little bit more complex because you're not the biological parent. And when there's still two parents on the scene, those boundaries it can be a little bit grey area. So it's, gentle.
Yeah, and so often someone in that situation doesn't have the reference structure to at least guide them initially and that type of thing. So having a conversation with someone else who maybe went through it 6 months previous, 18 months previous can make a big difference. We'll just finish up on touching on this partnership with the Family Resource Centre. This looks like it's a well thought out idea, well executed. It looks like it's going to provide an important and valuable service for people. Can you see partnerships like what Turn to Me and the Family Resource Centre are doing in this regard being an aspect that your organisation would look at in the future again?
Oh, absolutely. We were always open to new partnerships. So we have we've partnered with the Family Resource Centre there near yourself in Ballymote, and that's running for 12 months. And we're already in talks for running it for 24 months. So it's definitely something that we really want to get off the ground and have it as a constant support to the people. The next one is the 12th of March at 7 p.m. So all people have to do is register as a user on turntome.ie in advance, then register for that group, and then just be logged in at that time at 7 p.m. on the 12th of March, and I'll open up the chat at that time and it will just appear in front of them.
Suzanne Ennis is the clinical manager at Turn to Me and the facilitator of this online resource. Suzanne, you've been great with your time. Thanks so much for talking to me on health and fitness this evening.
Thank you very much for having us and helping us share the word about the group.
We're done and we're dusted for this week's Health and Fitness. Jack and I will catch you next week. Joe Cooney's next with Country Roads. Take care of yourself.